Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the ThePCelitist. My name is Woodsie.
My name is Shepherd.
And today we're going to do a week in review of news. But first, big news. I'm no longer sick, which is why we took a hiatus for a week and a half, because I had the flu really bad.
Yeah, and now you gave something to me. Thanks.
Not possible. I haven't seen you in person in a while. So, it couldn't have been me, right?
I don't know.
Unless Skype is just that good.
Mm-hmm.
But big news, the big news this week, we're going to kick it off with, well, there's a Kotaku story that explains it, but there's numerous places to find this story that's not exclusive to them. But their story is why you could have to pay more for online gaming soon. And this has to do with the D.C. court ruling earlier this week about basically...
Earlier last week.
Last week, okay.
Yeah.
That internet, ISPs have the right to charge premiums based on internet usage. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air right now. The term around it is net neutrality. And this particular article, I don't think... It does a good job of explaining the very basics, if you're not familiar with it, but I suggest you read the full case. Not necessarily the full case, it's too long. But read up on it elsewhere. But this is just where I first started reading about it.
Right.
And really it involves, do ISPs have the ability to throttle content? Can they be selective with content? It's one of those cases that could end up setting a pretty large precedent for the way content is delivered to users.
Now I'm wondering how much, we haven't seen obviously any effects of this, or if this will be stuff that happens behind the scenes that we never really catch wind in, later down the road.
Yeah, people are seeing the effects of this with their data plans on their cell phones and having data caps and experiencing throttling. And in some rural areas, your ISP could throttle your data if you don't have robust broadband. But you and I personally haven't experienced anything with this.
Right. Yeah, that's weird. I never even consider when I log onto my computer, any kind of... Well, log on. I don't even log on. It's just always there's just always internet running on my computer. Mm-hmm. So
we're well past the days of dialing up and connecting to BattleNet.
Right, exactly. And anyone who has my name on Skype can attest to the fact that my computer is always connected to the internet, because it always says I'm online when I'm actually nowhere
near
there. I'm not never there. I'm just not. I go to work during the day, so oftentimes I'm not there. But I wonder, see, this particular story kind of focuses on, what would if Sony is going to have an online platform, or the ISP is going to charge Sony money for, for all the traffic that they're going to create.
Yeah, or is Facebook going to get charged more because most bandwidth people use happens to come from their site? Are they going to be selective or punitive rather,
right,
on the sources of major bandwidth usage?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Going to bandwidth issues, we just had a record-breaking 13 gigabyte Dead Rising patch that came out that people are a little shocked by the size of this thing. And I'm more used to it as a PC gamer, but I think console gamers are finally getting the patching woes where giant patches will come out and kind of just occupy your system for a little while things are patching, and I think it's taking everyone aback.
Yeah, I think these are a 13 gigabyte patch. That's a game.
That's a big game.
That's not an update. And the first thing that jumped to my mind, which I think is the concern of a lot of the people commenting on this particular story, is how broken was the game, or how rushed was the release that you couldn't finish developing it to the point where you had to release a patch that's the size of an actual game.
Right. Well, I don't know. I feel like just patches and incomplete games are just kind of the future right now, because, what game aren't we playing that isn't some sort of beta?
Early access, yeah.
Or early access. I don't know. We were talking about it before, a few weeks ago, how we don't play finished, polished games anymore. I haven't played one in forever. PC games, as kind of a rule, even games that came out, were kind of unpolished. It was a very PC-ish thing to do. Like, older games they just weren't polished that much.
Are you trying to tell me that Peggle's not polished?
Pe- Peggle is
I,
polished.
I invite you to retract that statement.
Okay, sans Peggle, but I think lots of PC games weren't polished. You would get them; they're a little rough around the edges, glitches here and there, and console games often they didn't never had an ability to even update anything, so everything had to be perfect out the door. And now we're in the age where consoles act more like computers than ever, and now they're all getting a taste of what it's like for an incomplete game to hit your shelf, and then you have to patch it numerous times. So
This just makes me remember. I don't remember which game it was, but I do remember the experience of encountering the first game that was 1 GB in size,
right.
and thinking, how is it possible that my computer is going to be able to handle this thing?
Right.
Unfortunately, those were still the days when digital distribution was still in its infancy, if anything. So fortunately, you have the disc and even multi-disc installations. Remember the first time you installed World of Warcraft?
Oh,
The first
yeah.
time I installed it, that was one of my first experiences with multi-disc installations.
Really? I remember
I
doing
think
it
so.
on my old floppies. You'd get a
Oh yeah,
game and
oh yeah. Well, floppies don't count.
oh. I always remember this fondly of when I wanted to fully install MechWarrior and it was like 87 megabytes. And my dad was just like, "No, are you crazy?"
Yeah, the
That
hard drive's only 100.
you know how far we've come.
Yeah,
And still, MechWarrior 2 is still one of the best games ever made. They still haven't surpassed it. And it was only 87 megabytes.
I can't remember the exact quote, but there was a great meme I saw where a guy referred to the old days of PC gaming, where a game was 10 megabytes, but you get 60 hours out of it.
Right.
Now we have games that are 60 gigabytes, and you get 10 hours out of it.
It's kind of true. I don't know. I feel like I don't get. Maybe for one thing, I just don't have as much time as when I was a kid to just play games, like just play tons of games. But I don't feel like I invest. People all the time tell me like, "Oh yeah, I love that game. I put 120 hours into that game." I said, and I think, how did you do
Yeah,
that? Where
I
did
think
you?
I think Bad Company 2 is the last one you put that much time into.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at my games, and even games I felt like I invested a lot of time in, and like the original Witcher, I put 53 hours in. And I'm notoriously bad at like leaving my game on and leaving the room and going on vacation and coming back. So I always assume that I always assume like 20% of my time in a game was me AFK. Okay, so I think in reality I probably only put like 38 hours into Witcher. How do you get 100 hours out of a game? I don't know. Anyway, I find it kind of weird. I hop around too much on video games, I think, to put that much time into one single player experience. But that's just me. That's just Woodsie's weird idiosyncrasies. So Valve, talking about video games, they're looking to get rid of the whole Greenlight idea, which is pretty interesting. I think it's interesting that the rumor is, because I don't think anything's written in stone, but the rumors are, and this is reported on Games Industry International, that they want to no longer be the keeper of the keys per se when it comes to who's on Steam and who's not on Steam, and they just want kind of a community-based system, and anyone could. So our eventual video game, me and you, when we make our game, we'll be able to just put it on Steam right away.
Yeah, and this is one of those developments that I'm not necessarily excited for, because I feel about it the way I feel currently about YouTube. Is when anyone, the beauty of it is anyone can post anything. The awful thing is anyone can post anything.
We can't post anything. You can't post Family Guy episodes. Everyone knows that,
Yeah.
unless it's off screen. I don't. Well, do you really think it'll just inundate Steam with just a bunch of garbage?
Not necessarily, but I think that right now I like the Steam Workshop and how that factors into people being able to contribute to existing games. And Greenlight certainly has brought us a great number of games we never would have been exposed to had
Right.
it not been for this program. But I currently like the way Steam markets games, that you don't really hear much about. I think they do a good job of cycling them in to the rotation on the featured page.
Hmm.
But I don't know if I would necessarily enjoy a free-for-all and a flooding of that market. But I applaud them for taking a program that is very popular and successful, and at least considering the possibility that maybe, though it is popular, we should do away with it if it takes us in a new direction. Because it seems like they're really sticking to their philosophical guns here.
Yeah, well, I'm always in favor, me personally, because you know how much I love liberty. I always favor an open system, even if it means as the user, I will have to kind of sift through more garbage, just little games here and there. What I think you just have to make sure you do on Steam side as to provide a better, user experience is that if there's some sort of rating system or some sort of community size that you could filter, like I don't want to see games on my store, or I only want to search for games that are at this rating or have this many players, or so that you're not seeing every little thing that shows up on Steam.
Right, I agree. And that's something that a few of the people on this particular story commented on, and I agree with them that they would need to significantly improve and make more granular the search functionality in Steam to be able to have those sort of filters. There are a great many games I would never want to buy, and it's clearly not difficult for adaptive behavior learning. I mean, advertising does it. Whether you straight up don't click on something or you specifically denote, I do not want to see ads like this.
Right.
Valve could easily incorporate a system like that in which it can start to learn what you like and don't like.
Right.
But then again, there can be value in just having that open exposure, because I've found games that fall within genres I don't normally enjoy. Like Peggle is not that type of game. Casual games generally aren't big with me, but that is just a delightful experience.
Right, you're new to Peggle. You just discovered it not that long ago.
Yeah. It's better to play it on an 80-inch screen, which is my first experience with it.
It's pretty exciting. Well, I hope that they do that, because I think, especially if a lot of maybe indie free games show up, people just make little games like the game we just reviewed for True PC Gaming. We did that indie game. It came from space and then it ate our brains. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, it came from space and ate our brains. Yeah.
That's right. So that's like a free little game, and if there was a section that I could filter to on Steam that just had little free games like that, that could be, a few hours of entertainment for me, at the drop of a hat, just downloading little games like that. I wouldn't mind it at all.
Yeah, this sort of system I think could do very well if they just made it organized.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's an organizational issue. So, how long has DayZ Alpha been out? I
think it's about a month now. I think we're just over a month.
This is I'm going to mark this game as the best-selling game that the developer told everyone not to buy.
Yes.
That's how I just that's how I see this game. Yeah, because Rocket literally said, "Don't buy this."
People buy it when they tell you not to. Imagine if they hadn't said that.
I know, right? I don't know. He could have. He shot himself in the foot. He should have just told people to buy it, and then he would have sold 10 million by now.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited to see. I'm excited to see this game taking off. I hope this added revenue allows them to really move forward with the polish of the game that it requires. Some of the biggest issues. This is an issue actually that keeps me from playing the game. The game is set up right now that people do server hopping to get weapons. So they go into an area in an empty server, loot it, switch servers, loot it, switch servers, and as far as I know, even in the latest patches, they haven't combat that kind of activity in any way. And that the knowledge, even though I like just running around with you or and looting and the whole feeling of being alone and that paranoia that comes with playing the game is all very fun, but the knowledge of when I run up against somebody that they could have kind of, I'm not going to call it cheating, but, exploiting their way to get the stuff they have, it kind of ruins it for me,
Yeah.
So those are one of those things that is just, I think about playing it, and then I think about how players are exploiting the system as it is, and I always think, I'll wait till it's fixed.
Yeah, I think you and I have learned, especially in zombie survival games, that if there is an advantage to be taken, people will take it. And
Yes.
we learned that in the War Z, especially.
From the developers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I hope that's the same. I don't know really what mechanisms you can put in place that will. There are ways to stop that, but I just feel like it'll be a matter of just playing whack-a-mole, really. You solve one problem, and then you find yourself having to solve three more. I hope that they invest in zombie AI, honestly. And if you could limit the number of human players in a server, I think that would kind of go a longer way toward preventing some of this behavior. Because if there were 8 people in a server, I think that'd be too few. But if there are 20 or 32, you could easily have a cartel mentality.
Right. Well, I think in the first game there was the first mod, when it was just an Arma 2 mod, it had this kind of built-in system to keep people from doing that, where when you created a character, everything you did was saved to that specific server. So even if you switched, you would start it with a fresh character. Which obviously, so that solved the problem, but these were all on private servers. Now that they're controlling all the servers, I don't know, it just seems like maybe that is the answer. Just make it so that if me and you create a character, we have to play on the same server until that character dies.
True. The real downside there is that what if there's a problem with the server? I'm therefore unable to play in the conditions on which I'd want to play.
Yeah.
But if they
Yeah.
have dedicated servers, then that becomes less and less of an issue.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they are. They're all run by them, so I don't see why they couldn't do that. But I think they need some sort of solution, because it really takes out of it ruins my immersion by when I start thinking outside the game and thinking, how did they get those guns? Did they cheat their way to them, or you know what I mean? So those are just my thoughts on that. But anyway, those are the news segments we have for this week. I hope to get back on the schedule here now that I'm healthy. I don't know about Shepherd. I think he's going to die in the next few days, right?
Yeah, I got a short timer.
Okay, so by this weekend, we'll have an opening at the PCelitist for a new co-host. So please comment if you want to be the new co-host.
That's what the video is going to be about now, not about anything we just talked about.
That's right. Tell us your thoughts on the decision on the internet capping, and what you think about Greenlight going away, because those to me are what probably
Yeah.
our viewers
Well,
most
the first story we covered easily is almost a series in and of itself, and we wanted to keep it light.
right.
But just the specter of having to deal with that is something that the generation of free and ever ready internet has never really had to cope with.
Right. Well, we'll see how it goes down. My name is Woodsie.
My name is Shepherd. This is a PC Elitist signing out.